Hello, my most amazing and awesome artists. Today we're going to be creating our very own beautiful oops, inspired by the book written and illustrated by Barney Salzberg. You're going to have a big piece of paper and write your name and class code before flipping it over. Make sure to write your name and class code in pencil because once you flip it over, we will not be using any drawing or painting utensils that you're used to today. You will actually not be touching your paper at all. Instead, we're going to be creating some oops, and next week we'll make them even more beautiful. But today, you're going to use a squirt bottle to drop paint onto the center of your paper. Now, when I drop the paint, I don't hold it too close and I never touch the tip of that bottle to the paper. I hold it about a foot above or an arm's length above, drop it in the middle, and only do one squirt. It should be about a quarter-sized amount of paint. It's okay if it doesn't come out in a perfect circle, but just make sure you're not doing any more than one squirt and about the size of a quarter. You can measure that by putting your thumb and pointer finger together. Then I move on to my second squirt of paint. Again, another quarter-sized amount if that paint were to all be in a perfect circle. And then my third drop of paint. From above, not getting too close. I keep it all in the center. That's very important. That was my last quarter-sized amount of paint. If I had 3/4, that would give me 75 cents. Too bad it's paint and not real money. So now I'm going to be using a straw as my only tool to move around the paint today. With my straw, I am keeping it way above the paper and not touching the paint. I am not going to touch my paint with that straw. I am only using it to take a deep breath in and blow right out. I am moving that paint around only with my breath. I'm trying to move the paint from the center out towards the edges. Boys and girls, you may notice that I am turning my paper. I am not picking it up, but just sliding it around to another side. You could also just move your body, which might be even easier. You can move all around so that you can get to the paint at different angles. The closer you get, you might notice that you move that paint in different ways. Also, the harder that you blow into that straw, you might notice that you get different patterns like this one. That took me a lot of breath. Really deep breath in and big breath out. Boys and girls, today, if you start to get lightheaded, please do not continue. Take a break. Take a deep breath in, breathe a little, and then go back to moving that paint around when you don't feel lightheaded. We don't want anybody going to the nurse from art today. Make sure that you are turning your paper very carefully and keeping the paint inside of your paper. It's okay if it hits the edges or goes over onto the table a little bit, but we don't want to have a huge mess. So make sure that you are just keeping it right inside that edge. You also want to keep something called negative space. Boys and girls, can you say negative space? All right, very good. Negative space is when you have some empty space around what you are painting or what the subject is. In this case, it's our big old beautiful oops. You don't want to cover the entire paper in paint because what we're going to do next week is going to rely on you leaving some negative space. So make sure that you get some interesting marks coming out maybe on those edges, little tiny bits like hairs coming every which way or legs or arms or antennas. Who knows what's happening over there? But I want to make sure that I have some of that white space around my oops. You may also notice that at times I might get closer or farther away, or maybe even have to get down really low and move at different angles to blow that paint around. I want to make sure that I get all of the edges. I don't want to leave any area of paint in a puddle. So if you end up seeing any parts of paint that might look like they're a puddle that you could go splash in, or maybe if you picked it up it would drippy, make sure that you go ahead and take your straw and blow towards that area. That way it will dry quicker today. The next thing I'm going to do is add a little bit of gold. The gold is being added last because I was using cool colors. Gold is more close to yellow or a warm color. If I were to mix that gold in with my blue and my purple and my pink, it would not have made such a pretty gold color. It would have made more of a brown color when I mix the warm and cools. So I'm adding gold last. This is the same reason that I decided to use cool colors like blue, purple, and pink on my beautiful oops, because they are neighbors on the color wheel, or analogous colors, and they blend well together. That means that if I were to take a color like purple and then add yellow, it would probably make brown when I took my straw and blew that paint around. So I made sure to use analogous colors. I would suggest that you think about the color wheel and the colors you're using when you're deciding on your colors today. Just a reminder, you are using 3 colors of paint, quarter-sized amounts, with optional addition of gold at the end after you start to use your straw to blow that paint around. You can turn your paper, but do not pick it up while the paint is still drippy. One last reminder before you start creating your own beautiful oops. Remember, the book is all about turning mistakes into happy accidents. So today, there are no such things as mistakes. You also have to be okay with giving up a little bit of control. If I wanted you to create a beautiful painting with your hands, I would have given you a paintbrush or a pencil or a different tool. But today, you are only using your straw to blow around that paint. Then make sure you throw your straw out after you use it. Nobody wants to touch that. And then if you have a little bit of a mess, you can use a wipe to clean up your hands and area. All right, artists, have fun creating your beautiful oops today.